Hello, Steve White, Trekboy 89 for Steve White's 89, Star Trek's Gatekeeper. Okay, so I just watched Star Trek Picard Season 2, Episode 1. It was very surprising. Overall, I thought it was good, but I'm not sure how the overall season is going to be. Now, the episode starts off with the scene we've already seen, with the bridge under attack and the cadets running to get there. And that scene actually takes place 48 hours for the rest of the episode, so it's one of those episodes where we get a glimpse at the end of the episode and then we spend the rest of the episode coming back to that point. So that's pretty much all we see. We don't really see anything more than that we saw in that teaser. Now it goes back to Picard on the chateau, and he is enjoying the last day of the harvest of the grapes and the making of the wine and everything. And at the end of the day, he is having a drink with the female Romulan. I can't remember if her name was Laris. I've forgotten her name. Damn. He's talking to her, and there appears to be a budding romance. They've gotten very close since her partner was lost in season 1, because it's been about a year and a half since the first season. And they get very close, but Picard stops himself from exploring that, and she decides to leave, so he's a bit upset about that. Now we get a bit of a look into Picard's past. We saw shots of him as a child in this back room, which is like an observatory, like a glass observatory, and we find out that he moved to the chateau when he was young. His father was all about the winery and that, and his mother was the one who encouraged him to explore, who told him to literally look up and to look at the stars. And he was very close to his mother. And he, in a devastating little moment, asks her, is it going to be the same here? Because we realise that Picard's father is abusive, and that his mother and father have a bad relationship. Now, this is something, if you know much about Patrick Stewart, you know he's growing up was very bad. His parents were very poor, his father was very abusive, an alcoholic, and he apparently now wants to tell this story about himself through Picard. Now, I can see already some people saying, they're calling it now, the Patrick Show, because it's all about him and, telling his story through Picard, not about sort of Picard and what his story is, but, is he Picard now, is Picard him? I don't know, it's a very sensitive issue to him, and it's a fairly, I feel, important story to explore, like surviving abuse and stuff like that in families. So I'm not opposed to it. I don't have a problem with telling emotional stories and exploring emotional issues in Star Trek and even within Starfleet, and to deal with missions and that. But I don't know, I'm not sure. I found it very emotional. So he goes back in his room and it's all fallen apart, and his mother and him used to paint roses on the windows, so that's the piece of glass he's holding up and everything. And basically he hasn't allowed himself to be close to a woman because I think he's afraid of being his father, which is probably something Patrick Stewart went through himself. A lot of people who have alcoholic or abusive parents are afraid of becoming their parents, and so it's an interesting thing. So now we go to Starfleet Academy, because the next morning his Romulan friend is helping him get ready for that and helping him find the book from Spock, the Many in the One, which is about his time as, the first Vulcan science officer in Starfleet. So that's what the book is about. And we see Elnor and everything, and he celebrates him and he gives him the book. And we don't see a lot of Starfleet. We see the overall chamber that they're in, and we see some little transport units. People are just walking through and going to their ships because all the cadets are being assigned to ships. And we see like the setting they're in, which I think is real. They're filming on location, and we have Raffi and him talking, and she's on the Excelsior, she's captaining it, and Elnor is going to be under her command, and she sort of sees him sort of like a son, which sort of makes sense considering she lost a son and so forth. So he just goes back to the chateau and everything, and then out in space an anomaly opens up. The event horizon creates radiation, a lot of distortion, and starts producing a signal, which seems to be some sort of distress signal where it's multiple races, multiple people, saying, help us, Captain Picard. So, of course, they contact Picard, and an admiral shows up and wants him to go out and look at it, deal with it personally. And he agrees to, and he goes out in space. Now, we've already seen Seven. She has Captain Rios's ship, the Los Rios, or whatever, I've forgotten what it's called now. Oops, sorry. I thought I had all this stuff in my head. I'm forgetting some of the names from season 1. She is running supplies and that for people who apparently aren't taken care of by the Federation or something. So she's back in the Rangers, and she gets called on, and Durate, who basically was not charged with murder, or she got out of it basically. So because she was under the influence of alien and so forth, she was not found guilty of murder. So she's a free person. So she's out with Soji doing PR work basically on behalf of the synths, and she's called up to the ship, and Picard arrives, and there's a little bit of talk between Seven and Picard about the Borg, that they use Borg technology and the study of Borg technology when they're building this new class of ships, and that she feels that her presence is sort of engaging tensions, with the Borg and the Federation. That so she's feeling uneasy. They go up to the bridge and they find there is a ship inside the anomaly. It comes out, it's a Borg ship. Now it beams over some sort of emissary. They ask to do this and they're told no, but they do it anyway because they're the Borg. Seven, of course, right away is destroy them. Destroy them. There is no negotiation. Old school Borg. She's looking at them like that. You can't play ball with these guys. It's just, But they want to talk because it's like this could be, if they want to join the Federation, if they want to actually work with us and, have a truce, basically, and have treaties and stuff, that we can't ignore that. So they talk, and the Borg beams over and says basically, we want to join you, but we need power first. So basically they send their tendrils out into the ship and start to take it over. How do they do this? Because they engage in the Borg technology that was used in the design of the ship. So, and they also use like the ship as a hub of some sort and try to take over the whole fleet, because at this point a whole fleet of ships have arrived. They're all backing up the Stargazer, and she gets to 90%, and it's like, okay, they're not winning, and Picard sets off the self-destruct and the ship blows up, and that's the end of it. Then we go back to the chateau, and Picard wakes up on the ground. He gets up, he walks through his chateau, everything is wrong, nothing's right. And then he's greeted by an android who mentions that the solar shields are doing well today. So apparently the planet has been neglected and now has to use solar shields to protect the Earth because apparently we've destroyed the ozone or something. So this new reality we live in is everything that could go wrong with Earth, I guess, in the future. So we see a bit of that. And then when he's trying to work out what's happening, Q pops up. Q arrives, as we suspected, looking like the old Q, the young Q. He says, my God, Picard, you've aged so much, I need to catch up. Boom, and now he's old Q. And he tells Picard, we asked Picard, what did I tell you before? The trial never ends. And he says, you talk so much about second chances. Well, this is the very end of the road not taken. And Picard is outraged that he's there, and he's upset, and he's aware that he believes Q has changed everything. So I'm not exactly sure what is happening here. Now, the episode itself felt good. It felt like Star Trek. We saw a lot of Starfleet, a lot of things, and it felt like Star Trek. But I'm afraid they're just going to bookend the show, and we're going to have like a couple of episodes in sort of what we recognise as Star Trek and Starfleet, and then the rest of the series is going to be on Earth, running around, solving this problem. So I was enjoying it, but I'm also very cautious about whether it's going to turn out like, Masters of the Universe, where it's just bookending a show and not giving us what we really want to see, because it's just in, the end and the beginning. Now, one thing I forgot to mention was his scene with Guinan, because it's kind of throwaway. I assumed he was going to contact her when he went back to the past and find her on Earth to get help with how to deal with the problem that they're dealing with at the time, because she'd be aware of it like she was in yesterday's Enterprise. Why wouldn't you use her? It's a time story. Then I realised they've got aliens, so she's in the 24th century, not 2024. So I assumed he was talking to her about time before leaving, because maybe they're in the future time and he has to leave the future time, and she's aware of the changes again because she's Guinan like she was with yesterday's Enterprise. But no, he just goes back to 10 forward to talk to her about relationships and they just talk about love and why he's been afraid of love. And it's because, like I said, I think he's afraid of becoming his father, and he's never sort of let himself be really in a full-time relationship with a woman where it was going to last, because all his relationships were when he was on missions, and he sort of sabotaged them all by, the fact that they were all sort of transient and all going to go somewhere. So their whole talk is about that. So that was interesting, but I feel like they underused Guinan's character. She could have been a real aid to the time travel issue, but apparently not. So, and that's basically the end of the episode. And we actually got a trailer this time, because normally I don't get the trailers, but I saw the trailer for what's coming for the season. They showed the Borg Queen fully together, hovering above something, held by her cables, by her tendrils and stuff. We see what looks like Elnor possibly being killed. We see what we saw a lot. It's basically the same as the trailer, but just a few different shots where we see them going back into time. Picard saying, what we do here, affects things. We have to be really careful. It's very Star Trek 4, but dark and not funny. So I'm not really sure about this season. It's already better than the first season, because this one episode was better than everything that they had in the first season. The only good episodes in Star Trek Picard Season 1 was the episode with Troy and Riker, and the very end scenes with Starfleet, and the first dream sequence, and that's it. The rest of the series I don't ever need to see again. This episode was good, I would watch it again. But whether this is just going to be like, Borg Bookends, and then the whole series is just going to be on Earth, because there's only 8 episodes left, so if the last episode is fixing everything and back on, Earth and present time, then that only leaves 8 episodes for the rest of the series. So how much time we're going to spend in 2024, and are they just going to bookend and give us a Masters of the Universe kind of experience, or whether we're actually going to have, if it's going to feel like Star Trek all the way through. I'm not sure, because I was watching the Borg and I'm like, so we've got Q and the Borg, it's like they're just pulling on everything. I'm like, can't we create anything new? Isn't Star Trek supposed to be exploring strange new worlds and new civilizations and new things? And they just seem to be pulling up old things and reusing them. And I couldn't really get excited, because I just felt like we've done this before. We did the Borg last season. We did the Borg in Voyager. We did the Borg in Next Gen, late Next Gen, when it's just... so I'm not really impressed. I'm happy that it felt more like Star Trek, but overall I'm looking at the whole season and series and wondering if it's just going to feel like retreading things we've seen before, including like a Star Trek 4 sort of use of budget, where we're basically on Earth for the most part and we just sort of bookend with the 24th century. So I really don't know what's going to happen. I was going to do a separate review of the trailer, but I've just sort of done that here, because like I said, there's a few extra shots and nothing we haven't really seen before, just slightly different. But yeah, I'm going to go. I'm not going to get to 15 minutes. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Whoopi was good, but she felt like she was more Whoopi than Guinan. I know she was sick when she filmed the scene and that, and it felt more like Whoopi, but it's nice to see Whoopi anyway, because I love Whoopi. So I did feel like that character was underused, and that was the most disappointing thing. And I'm trying not to be cynical. I'm trying to be optimistic, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what we get. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I got to 14 minutes. I was trying to keep it shorter, but okay. I'm going to go. Bye. Thanks.